Hello, darlings. Ho ho. Here we have a 1978 Pye CT450, better known as the Philips G11. Yeah, this particular TV, well, not this actual TV, but this particular model has a particular thing for me because it was the very first TV my parents had when I was a kid, and I remember watching the man coming and repairing it many times. Spoiler alert! And yeah, I was just fascinated. He'd take the back off and have a look. For a long time, I was actually convinced that TVs had light bulbs inside that lit up the screen, and the reason for that was because I remember the guy bringing in a basket of light bulbs, and I thought, he's changing the light bulb. No, I've later realised, of course, this was more to do with he was using the light bulbs as a sort of like a resistive load when powering it up. So yeah, so let's have a look. Obviously the Pye logo. Now, I'm not saying I'm a big Pye fan or anything, but if we just look up here, what's actually lighting up the area here? Yes, there's my my Pye sign here. So I'm not saying, I'm a big fan of their work or anything, but So yes, now look at the things. So we have BBC One, ITV, BBC Two, BBC One, ITV again, and VCR. Interesting layout there. So yeah, so as this was introduced in 1978, the obviously we had no Channel 4 at the time, but obviously it had been speculated for years that we were going to get a second ITV channel, and a lot of channels, or a lot of TVs at the time would have ITV1 and ITV2 on it. This layout is quite unusual, though. It's an odd one, because I think the idea was at the time a lot of ITV regions, you could actually receive a second ITV. Like, say for example, you might be able to receive, say, ATV, and then you could maybe receive Thames, or or Granada and Yorkshire Television, or Yorkshire Television, Tyne-Tees Television, depending on where you are in York. Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing, because these were really amazingly good at pulling in signals from like any sort of transmitter. I mean, we are talking. Apparently, when they were developing this, they took a prototype and a generator up to like the middle of Scotland, where it was really difficult to get a signal, and they still managed to. They tuned it so you could still pull in a signal. In fact, yes. Okay, and if we open here, you can see, yep, there's the things. It's amazing, actually. I do recall the set my parents had this bit missing. And this was just permanently on show. Seems to be quite common, actually, with these. Obviously, volume, colour, and brightness. Contrast being on the back, yes. And if we look here, you can see not only have we got the unused grill for the ultrasonic remote control, but also the unused grill for the infrared remote control. This has neither. You can tell this is non-remote control, because the buttons stay in like that. If this was a remote control version, the buttons would be like sort of momentary, and you'd press it and it would come back out there. But yeah, my parents didn't have the remote control version either, because remote controls were really expensive at the time. Yet they'd been introduced, I think it was the early 70s, I think, with the Philips G8. Philips G8, which I do not get on with. I've recently repaired one for a friend, and my God, this took pretty much all of my resources, all my knowledge, and everything to get this damn thing working again. I ended up actually using some. People kept giving me spare boards, and I ended up just making a good one from like all the different boards I could get. But yeah, But luckily, this is the G11. This was actually, like I say, it was Philips and Pye. It was a combined effort, really. This one was actually made in the Pye Lowestoft factory. And yeah, the interesting thing is the Pye ones seem to be better built or more reliable than the Philips ones. They seem to have actually survived in greater numbers as well, rather than the Philips G11. Yeah, the Philips G11 kind of looked a bit more modern, but I don't know. I kind of like the traditional look of this Pye. It does look very, very 1970s.
There are thousands of pounds to be won in the Great Pye World Cup Winners' Competition. Rent or buy a super reliable Pye Studio Colour TV with revolutionary 20AX tube and score your way to riches. Pye rule, okay?
So looking at the back, not much to see really. Actually, very, very compact as well. Especially when you compare this to the later Ferguson TX10. I particularly remember when my parents went, well, particularly when my mother went from one of these to renting a Ferguson TX10. She complained that the TX10's back came out quite considerably compared to this one. There you go. Yes, the contrast thing there. Yeah, just the antenna connector, and that is your lot. Really, there's just nothing else on there. So looking over here, there we go. We can see the time-based panel, and again, you can probably see it's got nice modern Nichicon capacitors everywhere. Because yeah, as much as I do trust you know, certain capacitors and all that, you know, you got to understand that, you know, electrolytics are, you know, when they're 45 years old, you can't expect them to be the most reliable. You know, some people said, oh, you know, you shouldn't change capacitors. Likewise, a lot of people just like, oh, just recap it. I'm very much sort of like, find the fault first. You know, if you expect replacing all the capacitors is going to resolve your problem, you're probably going to be bitterly disappointed. What I did was actually get this working first, and then, you know, just gradually maybe replace these ones first, and then, you know, check it works. Maybe replace a few more, check it still works, and then move on to the next one. Yeah, if you remember my one of my previous videos, the one when I got this working, if you've watched it, this was a TCA 800Q, which I replaced. Yeah, this was the one that had a bad red channel in it. But yeah, I've been right through this, as you can see there. Not obviously, again, modern Nichicons. I've got some military spec Nichicons here. It's amazing just what you can get hold of these days. But yes, this is the notorious frame output chip. This one, you can see it's got a massive heatsink on it, and is again notorious because the amount of heat that this generates. You can see, I don't know, I might have to just zoom it in. There you go. You can just about see what I've done there. I've actually bent one of the pin out and soldered it directly to a wire link there, because yeah, these were notorious. These the sockets here for going bad. Wish this camera would focus. Hang on. Yeah, these sockets were notorious for going bad. Just purely due to the amount of heat from that single pin there, because I think it was something like 17 volts or something. But you know, yeah, apparently that was a bodge. I think, was it by Service Scope or something? I think Doz and Andy Doz of Doz's Television Workshop told me. So see some there's a modification I've done to this, as well as I've added this this relay to it as well, because yes, I had a thing about the main power switch. Just like love to weld its contacts together. When I first got this TV, somebody had bypassed the power switch completely. So I put a new old stock one in, and it lasted about 2 weeks, I think, before welding again. And then I realised why the person had done that. So So this relay takes over that instead. There. Yeah, oh, yep, and there we go. Let's have a look at the tube. We've got a Mullard A56 510X. Yep, so this is the original tube for this set. So there we go. Yeah, you can see just Philips, the designers, whoever it was who designed it, you can see they really spent a lot of time, just working out, everything. They really tested it, and yet it was let down by that that smoothing capacitor and the frame chip. It's a shame, really. Yeah, so these were all designed to be unplugged as well. Obviously you can just unplug, and the idea is the engineer would have a set of replacement boards, and if you couldn't replace it, or it was easy just to take the other board, one of these boards out, put a new one in, and take the other back to the shop. All good stuff. Yeah. Sadly, this didn't last. I think they were going to put this. They were going to keep this in production for a long time, but yeah, by 1980 they'd pretty much given up on it. The Pye lower stuff factory ended up being sold to Sanyo, and yeah, and that was the end of the Philips G chassis. Because obviously I think there was a G6, the G8, the ultra rare G9, and of course the G11. And that was it. I think from there on it was the K series chassis, which I believe was designed in Holland, so it wasn't really specifically designed for the UK market. So let's put the light off here. Now notice, most unusually, this one, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Notice the snow on this is actually coloured. Never seen any of this on any other TV. And it doesn't seem to be any faults with it either. The colour killer works fine, and yeah, so there you go. Very odd. Anyway, let's get a signal into this. Okay, so I'm gonna use the Mitsubishi, and it should be. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's in channel 1. Yeah, notice this has a separate VCR and like normal channels as well. So I think there's a. So yeah, so we'll try it on BBC One and see what it's like with that. We're using the Mitsubishi today. Let's just see what the PS3 is hooked up to. Oh, right, hang on. I'm just going to have to sort the camera out here. There we go. I think that's as good as we're going to get there. As usual, camera not doing this this TV any justice, but let's seriously look how clear this is. Ignore the wobbliness or anything, or any blanking or anything like that. That is purely the camera. It's not the TV. Yeah, people say, oh, you got to get a Sony for this. It's the gamer's choice. A gamer's choice. And no, seriously, this has got to be one of the nicest colour pictures I've ever seen on a CRT. Even later TVs, just, I don't know, it's just not quite the same. But anyway, let's as usual, camera blanking everything out again. So let's just go on to YouTube. There's a lovely Philips buzz there. I could probably correct that, but I'm not going to, because it's part of its charm, really. There you go. As you can see, I better turn this down just in case we get a copyright strike or anything. But yeah. You can see the geometry on this is just perfect. It's just, yeah, you really can't complain. Now, you may remember a couple of videos ago, I mentioned this this Toshiba, this mid-70s Toshiba 12SB was used in a music video. I wasn't allowed to mention it at the time, obviously, because it hadn't been released. Well, now I can mention it because it now has been released. Yeah, see if you can spot that, as well as the other two TVs that I've actually featured in this series, notably the 1970s Hitachi and also the Polish mystery TV. So the idea is this is a missing presumed wiped episode of the old grey whistle test.
Well, the last time Sensei visited us at the studio was for her second album, In the Seams. Tonight she joins us again, bringing music from her new album, Sunseeker, continuing her working relationship with Bill Ryder-Jones, who produced the LP. Here she is with her lead single, Better Than.
There it is. There it is.